That's not wishy-washy.
Yeah, frenzied mind. Like if you look
Frenzied
up the
mind.
word
Like it's in
frenzy,
a frenzy.
like you
Like
think
it's
of
a
a feeding frenzy. When you think of
right.
like a feeding frenzy, that means they are just, that's all they're thinking about. Uncontrolled excitement and wild behavior. It's not wishy-washy. It's just unrestrained.
Unrestrained.
It's crazy.
It's just
It's,
letting go.
it's like the puppies all day.
They're in a frenzy,
Yeah.
right? And so this is when we have uncontrolled desire. It becomes habitual. You know what I'm saying? You ever find yourself like, you know, I don't want to do it, but here it is, you're doing it. It's just like what Paul says in Romans 5, right? So when we go to Romans 5, I think it's Romans 5, 7, excuse me, Romans 7, and we see what Paul is describing about nature and about his behavior, his conduct. You know, this is what frenzies do, right? He says in Romans 7, for what I work, I know not. For what I wish, that I do not practice. But what I hate, that I do. But if I do what I do not wish, I agree with the Torah that it is good. And now it is no longer I that work, but the sin dwelling in me. For I know that in me, that is in my flesh, dwells no good. For to wish is present with me, but to work the good I do not find. For the good that I wish to do, I do not do. But the evil I do not wish to do, this I practice. And if I do that which I do not wish, it is no longer I who work it, but the sin dwelling in me. I find therefore this law, that when I wish to do good, that the evil is present with me. For I delight in the Torah of Elohim according to the inward man, but I see another law in my members, battling against the Torah of my mind. So he's letting us know the Torah is of the mind and bringing me into captivity to the law of sin, which is in my members. Wretched man that I am, who shall deliver me from this body of death? Thanks to Elohim through Yahushua Messiah, our master. So then, with the mind, I myself truly serve the Torah of Elohim, but with the flesh, the law of sin. And so he's just delineating really the mind of sin from the mind of the spirit, the mind of the flesh from the mind of the spirit. And when the mind of the flesh is in control, that's when, what do they call it? The frenzied desire.
Desire.
Yeah, that's when that stuff takes over, you know? But once we allow ourselves to be still, because the problem is this, we become more impulsive. When we become impulsive and we just act on impulse and not get still and not allow ourselves to regroup, right? And to recognize the source of the attack, right? And to observe our emotional state of being as opposed to just experience it. Like we tend to experience our emotions more than we do observe them, right? When you become an experienced emotional, a person who experiences their emotions, you become an automaton. You become like a straight robot. That's when you're in control. That's when your emotions are in control of you because you're just experiencing your emotions. But if you can step back and observe your emotions, you become, you know, an observer. You become a witness. You become the one who is master of your emotions. And I say this not knowing that not fully having grasped that because, you know, impulse still has its reign in our life. But it's like the more we feed that nature that tends to not submit to our impulses, the more strong that impulse will become. And it's just like what the maxim says, what our ancestors say in Pirkei Avot, you know, the fulfillment of a commandment leads to another fulfillment of a commandment. The fulfillment of sin leads to more fulfillment of sin. So what nature we're feeding is the nature that is going to be dominant, right? And if we can implement righteous reason, if we can still our bodies and still our mind even through observance of Torah, observing Torah, and then applying Torah, we can overcome our own desire. Because you're not going to eradicate these things from the mind. You're not going, so you talk about, you know, just, we talked about it last night. take the taste away. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. You can just become more resilient. You can become more resistant to that taste. You know, and that's the thing. The enemy is always going to attempt and entice us with what he knows we like or what she knows we like. And so the way that you overcome it is you resist it. It could be knocking, it could be calling, it could be doing all kinds of things. But it's like if we learn to resist righteously and even speak against it, like Yahushua did in the wilderness. We talked about this last night. Yahushua in the wilderness was like, you know what? Get behind me, Satan. For it is written, shall serve no one but Yah, your Elohim. Because it actually does come down to worship. It's like Paul says, do you not know that to the one who you present yourself is your master? What does he say that? Maybe in chapter 6. Not popping up. Do you not know, verse 16, that to whom you present yourselves servants for obedience, you are servants of the one whom you obey, whether of sin to death or of obedience to righteousness. But thanks to Elohim that you were servants of sin, yet you obeyed from the heart that form of teaching to which you were entrusted. And having been set free from sin, this is what we have to understand. This is what this whole season is about. This is what Israel defeating the Seleucid and the Grecian Empire is about. They were set free from sin now. We were then able to become servants of righteousness, right? Look at this. I speak as a man because of the weakness of your flesh. For even as you did present your members as servants of uncleanness and of lawlessness resulting in lawlessness. This is what I was just talking about. The more we sin, the more sin will become prominent in our life. So now present your members as servants of righteousness resulting in set apartness. When you were servants of sin, you were free from righteousness. Here's that word. So y'all heard it a couple times now. What fruit, therefore, were you having then, over which you are now ashamed? For the end thereof is death. But now, having been set free from sin and having become servants of Elohim, you have your fruit resulting in set apartness and the end everlasting life. For the wages of sin is death, but the favorable gift of Elohim is everlasting life in Messiah Yahushua, our master. And it's powerful because I was just talking with Messiah just a little while ago about Yahushua and how he demonstrated to us the way to overcome both sin and death. We're able to now master sin and death as Yah encouraged Cain to not succumb to his emotions. Why is your countenance downcast? Why is your countenance falling? Right? Why are you all in your feelings, Cain? And so this is what this is about. The more we are in our feelings, the more prone we are to succumb to sin. Does that make sense? The more we operate in our righteous reason, the easier it is for us to master ourselves and not commit sin. Because righteous reason is diametrically opposed to emotions. So if you find yourself an emotional person like myself, I'm a highly emotional person, you're able to overcome your emotions through and with righteous reason. Any thoughts, comments, questions? Go ahead, Aki. Yes, sir.
Okay, now we talk about the emotion. Now, anger is an emotion, right?
Correct.
And the scripture that says, be angry, but sin not.
Right.
right? And that oppression makes a wise man mad.
Mm-hmm.
Mad in the sense of being angry. Is that not correct? That's how you would interpret that verse.
I think that mad in that sense is more deranged.
Wow.
I think
Why that
oppression
word?
deranges somebody.
Oh, okay.
If you are suffering from oppression, you're losing your mind. You will lose your mind. Right?
So
You will resort to things that are not, natural. But go ahead. Yes, sir.
oh, okay. So is it possible for a person to be unrighteous but have righteous emotions?
Oh, yes.
It is?
Oh, yes. Very much so. Very much so.
Huh.
That's what they're supposed to produce. Yeah, that's the intent. Uh-huh.
Okay.
I was thinking though, also in light of your question, in the beginning of the reading, it is talking about those different, like you're having these different emotions.
Mm-hmm.
No one of us can eradicate anger from the mind, but righteous reason can help us to deal with anger. No one of us can eradicate malice, but righteous reason can fight at our sides so that we are not overcome with malice. So we're gonna still, I like that because sometimes we beat ourselves up. We're in a situation that we feel angry about, and sometimes we're just like, I can't deal with this individual.
Right.
But righteous reason gives us a way that we're not overcome by this.
100%. And the thing is, you're going to be tested until you get it right, or you just fail. You go to your grades as a failure, because triggers and those experiences that you go through are lessons, right? Every experience that challenges us and riles us up is an opportunity for us to bring light out of darkness, right? When we're behind the steering wheel and somebody's driving stupid and erratic, erratic, I mean, and they're just, foolish behind the wheel, and you upset and you cussing, you honking, that's a trigger. How you respond determines the fruit and the mind state that you're in. Are you in your flesh? Are you in your emotions? Or are you really being ruled by righteous reason at this time and being like, oh my God, this person is just a horrible driver. Let me reposition myself so I don't have to deal with this. You can avoid that situation if you so choose. Or you can engage it and exacerbate it and experience road rage, right? So it's a lesson for you to know how to respond to the situation. And that's every experience that we do. Anytime we get triggered, that's what it's for. It's to teach us a lesson. It's there to teach us how to control ourselves. And then we get to the point eventually where we are responding to situations in a much different way than we once reacted to them. Because now we are in control with the Torah, righteous reason. So let's look at this. We're quite familiar with this, right? We're quite familiar with this particular principle. Let me pull it up real quick. So when we go to Galatians 5, it tells us to walk in the spirit, and you shall not accomplish the lust of the flesh. For the flesh lusts against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh. So this is exactly what he's saying here, that righteous reason is the antagonist to the emotions. And basically it's spirit against flesh, right? And these are opposed to each other, so that you do not do what you desire to do. This is what we just read in Romans 7. But if you are led by the Spirit, let me ask you all this question. If you're led by the Spirit, why are you not under Torah? Listen to the preposition. Why are you not under Torah if you're led by the Spirit? If you're led by the Spirit, go ahead.
I was thinking that maybe because you are, you have a heart to keep the Torah, so you're not under it as a schoolmaster.
So what are you in relation to it?
You are the Torah. So to speak.
Excellent. Yes, ma'am. Or I like to say, even you are in the Torah.
You're
Torah
in it, but not under. Right.
Exactly. If you are in the Torah, there is no Torah. Right? If you're under the Torah, now you're subject to the consequence of the Torah because you've subjected yourself to its consequence. Right? So that's excellent. If you're led by the Spirit, you're not under the Torah because the word is the Torah. The Torah is the Spirit of Yah. Brother Kim, yes, sir.
Hey, I just noticed something, but I got two things, right? But I just noticed something. It says here, right, when you said, but if you are led by the Spirit, you are not under the Torah. But no, look at note 19, and I hope I'm not going off too far, but it says, and the works of the flesh are well known.
Yeah.
Did you see that? Which are these: adultery, whoring, uncleanness, indecency, idolatry, drug, sorcery, hatred, quarrels, jealousy, and all these other things. But then when you go over here down here to 22, it says, but the fruit of the Spirit is love. How come that's not well known?
Oh, wow.
Have you know,
because the world doesn't practice these
right
as often as they practice the works of the flesh.
People.
What's more prominent and more, pervasive is the works of the flesh, the works of the Spirit. The fruit of the Spirit isn't as pervasive as it should be. Right. And look how many fruits of the works of the flesh there are, and look how many fruits of the Spirit there are.
Right.
What can you extract from that? What kind of principle can you take away from the larger amount of works of the flesh and the smaller amount of fruits of the Spirit?
Me.
Say it again.
People say they in the Spirit, but this let you know, there's that Spirit, but there's two types of Spirit.
Right.
Clean and unclean.
Right.
Okay.
And that unclean would be that you'll be able to tell that person dealing with that unclean spirit by the works of the flesh.
Right. But again, why would there be more works of the flesh than fruit of the Spirit? What accounts, or what explains why there's more works of the flesh than there are fruit of the Spirit?
To me, it's kind of like that road, like you have that wide road and everybody's on that road trying to get to one place, but you're on that single road, by yourself. It's like everybody wants to get that new fast thing or new everything of the flesh. Everybody wants that new this and new that and that glamorous this and glamorous that. And that's appealing to them. But being righteous, being of the right, is not appealing to a lot of people. So you have more people doing that works of the flesh than you have doing the works of the Spirit.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you for that. Faith, I saw your hand up. Don't put your hand down. Come on.
Oh, see, I was trying to, people a lot of times in just flesh period doesn't want to practice spiritual hygiene. And spiritual hygiene is righteous desire. It is righteous reasoning, all of these things, because if in fact we continue to travel in those ways of bondage and those negative manifestations, we would be unconscious, we would be uncomfortable. And so those other actions of in 22, where it talks about, you know, the what we should have. What was that in 22? The different fruits of the spirit that are that are more positive than those things that we know of, like adultery and sin and fornication, all of those other manifestations. But if in fact we have holy hygiene, if we have spiritual hygiene, you know, we'll be more disciplined. We'll study to show ourselves approved, a workman that need not ashamed, rightly dividing the word and everything like that. And we won't be trying to talk to the world just with our own stuff. We'll be talking to the world, or we'll be talking to anyone else, because the Torah is in us. The word is in us. Jesus did not give the devil some of his own stuff. He gave him the word, and that's the only thing that works. Thank you.
Excellent. Excellent. Told off for that. Say
And
loud. Spiritual hygiene. Go ahead, Aki.
and just to pack it back, what everyone is saying, you know, one is easy and one is hard, you know, and people tend to choose what's easy than what's hard. You know, like when somebody's saying something and you want to tell them something back, but you know, it's easy just to say something, but you know, it's hard to say, you know what, I'm gonna just keep on quiet. You know, I'm gonna just let them keep doing. You know, so it's you know, even like when you're dealing with the adultery and idolatry. You know, it's easy to just say, you know what, I'm gonna do it because everybody else doing it, versus, you know what, I'm tired.
Bam.
Just, you know.
Yep, that's the nail on the head right there. The simple things always lead people to the right path. But what happens is, because it is not easy to yield, to resist, right? To control yourself. It's easy to let it go. It's much easier to let it go and be like, you know what? I don't care how you acting a fool, so I'm acting a fool. So you're going to just absolutely, you know, not have any self-control. So that's spot on. But I wanted to bring this up to the forefront again, because what this is doing is presenting this antagonism. We're seeing the distinction between the works of the flesh and the fruit of the spirit. It becomes that clear. And in that clarity, we actually are able to know who we are and where we are in our journey. You know what I'm saying? What we need to work on and master to get to a place where we are, you know, centered in the spirit and governed by Torah, and not under it, but in it. So that's excellent. That's most excellent. Yes, sir, Brother Kim.
I got one more thing, and maybe this is going to try to help me to understand this a little more. That righteous reasoning, right? I think I found a scenario that fits that very well, if I'm not mistaken.
Let's go for it.
Okay, it's Matthew chapter 4.
Okay, let's go there.
And how this righteous reason, I believe, plays out, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm seeing, if I'm following everyone correctly, right?
What verse you on?
It starts actually in chapter 3 and verse what is it? 3 and 16, right? And when Messiah, right, when Yeshua, when he was baptized, went up straightway out of the water, and lo, the heavens were open unto him, right? Are you there? 16?
Yeah, I'm there.
Heavens were open unto him, and he saw the spirit of Elohim descending like a dove and coming upon him. Now that's that spirit, right?
Right.
The spirit was descending on him, and see a voice out of heaven saying, "This is my son, the beloved, in whom I did delight." Now, when you go to 4, right, it says, right, then Yahshua was led up by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tried by the devil. And after having fasted 40 days and 40 nights, he was hungry. So that was talking. Now there's that it was talking about that in the Macabbees about body affliction and things like that. You remember?
Right.
Okay, so that right there was part of that when when your body's going through things. And the terror came and said to him, "If you are the son of Elohim, command these stones to become bread." And this, I guess, is that righteous reasons what you're talking about. But he answered and said, "It has been written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that cometh from the mouth of Yah." So it was that righteous reason that he was rebuking.
Exactly. Exactly.
And then I noticed something. He never prayed. You remember you were saying when we were talking yesterday, and you came up with the scripture, and and y'all said, "Why are you praying to me? Why are you crying out to me?
Move.
Get up and move!" Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So but because he had already put inside of Yahshua
right.
the mind. Is this correct?
Yeah. Hands down. Hands down.
So
hands down.
So am I on point here?
Hands down. This is exactly it.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, y'all, give me one moment. I gotta go to the restroom. Excuse me.
Okay. Because he never prayed. He didn't pray to the Most High before this went down, but he had already had that spirit, I think.
I'm thinking too that all of the times that he, went off to himself.
Yeah.
His battery, he was in touch. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
His battery was charged.
All
that
the
he
time.
could do all the time.
Mm-hmm. So this was almost sort of like him. He was always in constant communication with the Most High or the heavens, if you will.
Yes.
Is that safe to say?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I had noticed that when he was talking, I was like, Yahshua, he never prayed before this took place. He came out, he got the spirit, and went right off, and he was led into the wilderness.
Yeah, that's amazing.
All right, Mr. I'm back. Told everybody for your patience. Yeah, that's an excellent observation. And this is exactly what, we've been discussing, and how it does relate to that righteous reason over the emotions. And this is what Yahushua demonstrated. So that's an excellent point. Very excellent. So they use this anecdote of King David and his irrational desire for the enemy's water, and how no thirst would quench him except this that was behind the gates of the enemy. And so when he does eventually get it, though, it shows that he's like, I can't drink this. It's like drinking blood. So he offers it to Yah by pouring it out as a libation, right? And it lets us know, again, the temperate mind. This is very important. This word here is crucial, right? Temperate means to be in control, right? Moderation and self-restraint, control. The mind that is in control, the mind that is self-restrained, can conquer the drives of the emotions and quench the flames of frenzied desires. And so we can look at this in relation to, I want to say, 2 Corinthians chapter 10. And we've gone over this before too. Here it goes. For though we walk in the flesh, we do not fight according to the flesh. For the weapons we fight with are not fleshly, but mighty in Elohim for overthrowing strongholds. Here it is, overthrowing reasonings and every high matter that exalts itself against the knowledge of Elohim, which is, what does the knowledge of Elohim consist of? What is the knowledge of Elohim?
His word and
It's Torah, exactly, the Torah.
the Torah, yes.
The Torah is the knowledge of Elohim, the Torah is the wisdom of Elohim, right? And it is our understanding that allows it to come to life. But taking captive every thought to make it obedient to the Messiah. This is the temperate mind. This is righteous reason right here. And being ready to punish all disobedience when your obedience is complete. Right? So this is where we find ourselves truly subjected to the Most High. When we're operating in righteous reason, when we're operating with a temperate mind, when our emotions are subject to us and our reason, not our reason, and righteous reason. We're able to quench the flames of frenzied desires. So I've had frenzied desires in my life. And there are times when I couldn't even quench the flame. I was out of control. I didn't want to at times, but I found myself still doing things that I know I didn't really want to do, just like Romans 7 describes. But the way that it happens is that, again, we start to transform and renew our minds. And it's not going to happen overnight. You're going to have those battles. You're going to have a struggle. You're going to have a contest. You're going to have, some losses, rather some lessons to still learn, because you haven't gotten to a point where you are one with yourself. You're wholehearted now. You still deal with duality. I still deal with duality. And that's where we find our challenges, when we're dealing with this duality. And that duality is where we find the devil. Anybody know what the origin of the word devil is in the Latin and what it means?
Diablo
Diablo. What does Diablo mean?
is Satan,
Okay.
adversary. Like one accused you or something like that, murmur.
There's that word mandrake.
I always thought Diablo meant like duality, like to be two.
It does have the word dia in it, so it could be night and day. Dia means day.
Okay. Interesting. Let me see something. Let's see. I don't think it does have that. Nah, I saw somewhere that it didn't mean Diablo. I don't know where I came across that. It was a while ago. That's not going to come up. It's a PDF. Well, anyway, duality is where we find ourselves in a major struggle, though. We're dealing with duality. And so we have to be able to bring ourselves together. The point that I was making is the more double-minded we are and our thoughts are not centered and controlled, you know, we become more subject and susceptible, that's the word, more susceptible to the attacks of the mind that the enemy taunts us with. So yeah, that's a big issue. Big issue.
It says that in the Latin and the etymology of the Latin diabolus is the doublet of devil.
There it is. Where'd you find that at? Like, can you mind sharing? You got it on your computer?
Yes.
Can you share your screen?
No.
Not much. You can't?
No.
Okay. Could you put the link in the chat?
Okay.
That's good. The doublet of the devil, huh? And this is a huge part of our becoming one with Yah, is being wholehearted before Yah. And that wholehearted is just dealing with that oneness. Where we're not, you know, double-minded. That's why it says love Yah with all your heart, all your soul, and all your strength. And so that's a crucial matter as relates to overcoming emotion. And again, I will, you know, reiterate the importance of observing our emotions as opposed to being engaged with our emotions. And I say this to myself, you know what I'm saying? That's something I have to really learn to do in recognizing what's going on within me. And then knowing how to overcome it and using righteous reason. I was listening to a song by Prince David today. I'm gonna put it in the chat room. It's a beautiful song. Gotta go to hold on for that, Nicole. I'm about to put it in there too. This was a song by Prince David I just fell in love with. I heard it, it just came on it carried over. But he just talking about how, you know, when fear comes in, the word doesn't let me. That doesn't give it to me, Nicole. It's on Wikipedia though, Wiktionary. I'll go to Wiktionary.com and look up Diablo.
Yes, Wikipedia.
Okay. Doublet of the devil. What's a doublet? One of two or more words in language that have the same etymological root, but have come to the modern English language through different roots. Doublets can come about, loan word. Okay, so it's a loan word. Okay, I see what you're saying. Diablos. What is diablo? Diablo. Devil. Okay. Interesting. Well, short story short, he was like, you know, when fear and doubt come, it's like, I don't deal with that there. Let's see what you got here, Cole. Slanderer. Okay. Interesting. Hold on. So any last thoughts though before we go ahead and wrap up with this here? Does anything else come to your mind in this particular section or this reading here? You can see how when we are at peace, when we are observing Torah, there will be attacks. There will be people who defect from the faith and will revolt against the harmony, the oneness that is, you know, intended to pervade throughout society. That's expected until kingdom comes. Yes, and go ahead.
I was just thinking about the last sentence, I guess, to show what we've taken the time to really think about. It says the present occasion now invites us to a narrative demonstration of temperate reason. And then when we think about
I'll be right back, you are. One more
the
time.
whole nation, that people came in, men attempted a revolution against the public harmony and caused many and various disasters. That's sneaking in unawares to me, you know. In the midst of the reasoning and all that we've discussed, this happened.
Where'd he go?
I don't know.
He was saying he'll be right back.
And I guess that's what I think about, you know, this is what we're all up against, you know, right when you feel like, I guess the key is not getting to the point of feeling that you've arrived. Because there's gonna be something else. But now we have a way to reason through it and deal with it better.
You know, I think that's been a lot of the challenges for me, especially with the anger part, you know, is when those times come along and people, like he was saying, when they cut you off in traffic or somebody at the store say something twisting and out of the way, you know, I need to learn how to start reaching for prayer before I reach for anger. You know what I mean? I need to learn how to start to, you know, but a friend of mine told me just to start, what I need to do is, you know, pray a little bit more, even when there's nothing going on. Just if I'm sitting around and my mind is wandering or whatever the case is, I need to learn how to, in those times of idleness, I think is what he said, I need to learn how to start to pray, and maybe that might help me. And I'm starting to, I think I'm understanding this righteous reason a little deeper, a little more. You know, I was into these Macabbees years ago, and you know, I touched on it a little bit, but I really thank the Most High for putting it on Moray's heart to go through it, because you know the Maccabees is so cold. You know, it's just so deep that, you know, and I've never heard a minister. Matter of fact, I've never heard a minister on the radio, TV, or anything to do a sermon on the Maccabees. You know, but it's so heavy.
I mean, it's a part of history that our ancestors aren't acquainted with, unfortunately, by and large. I'm not saying all of us are. There's some people who do touch on it. You know? My good brother Shebaniah is the one who really, he introduced me to it. You know what I'm saying? We were doing our studies. I was going more in the Kabbalist route. He was going more in the apocryphal and pseudepigraphical route. You know, so it came together. You know what I mean? So I'm thankful. You know, he presented this to me, because when he brought this out, everybody was like, yo, because it was that heavy. You know what I mean? It was like that heavy. You know?
Yeah, it's deep.
It's powerful.
Mm-hmm. But I think Imam Lawarrior was saying something before you burn out.
What happened?
I said, I think Imam Lawarrior was saying something before you left.
Okay. I drank some water today crazily, so you have to excuse me. But any other thoughts? Any last thoughts before we go ahead and transition to the third day of Hanukkah now? All right. Let's go ahead and close out with this prayer. Pull up. Weekday Ma'ariv. Hallelujah, in the spirit of prayer. Ve'hurachum yikfavon velo yashit vechol bala hashiva fo velo ya'ir kol chemato Yahoshia hamalech yanenu hayom karenu barechu et Yaham varach Baruch Yaham varach le'olam vayed Baruch atah ya Eloheinu melech haolam asher b'davaro ma'ariv harabim B'chokhmah potak sha'arim ufto bonei mishnei atim Halif et hazomanim seder hakochavim b'masratechem barakia barazono borayom v'layla Olel or maponi hoshech b'hoshech maponi or Ma'bir yom u'bilayla bedel ben yom u'ben layla ya sevaot shmo elcha v'chayam tamid yamlok aleinu le'olam vayed Baruch atah ya hamariv harabim amen. Habarei olam beit Israel amacha havata Torah mitzvot hulchim u'mishpatim otanu lamata Kenya Eloheinu b'shachivenu u'fkumenu nasicha b'hulchicha v'nizmach b'divrei Toratecha u'mitzvotecha le'olam vayed Ki hem chayenu v'orech yameinu u'hem nogei yomam v'la'ila V'habatacha t'seh mamanu le'olamim Baruch atah ya ohev amo Israel. Amen. We can cover our eyes at this time. We'll go ahead and say the Shema. El Melech Ne'eman. Shema Israel, Yahuwah Eloheinu, Yahuwah Echad. Afet Yahuwah Elohecha, Kol avevcha, Kol nafshecha, Kol me'odecha, Ve'hayu ha'devarim ha'eleh, Asher noki mitzvacha hayom al avevecha, Shinatanda b'necha, v'dibarta bam, Chababatecha, Uvetecha baderek, Uvshibaka, Uvkumecha, Ukshatamot ayadecha, Ayula totafod ben ayanecha, Utatam amazuzo batecha, Visharecha, V'chayim shama tishma'u mitzvoti, Asher noki, Mitzvarchem hayom liachava et ya Elohim, V'chol v'vechim uv'chol nefeshkim, V'natoti matar tzvechim, V'yato yorem elakosh, V'asafata v'tisharecha, V'yitzarecha, V'natoti asaf v'sedecha, V'himetecha, V'yachlata v'shabata, Tamaru lechem pen yifate, V'vechim v'seratim v'avotim, Elohim, Acharim v'hatachoetim lechem, V'chara'ef yabechem v'yetzar et shamayim, V'lo yihye matar v'hadamalot, V'tenet yobula, Avotim maharama el haaret hatoba, Asher ya noten lechem, Semetem et divrei elei, ha'ela v'vechem v'yanefeshkem, ukshatim motam, la'od ayedekem v'chayu atotafod ben ayenechem, v'lamedetem motam et benichem ledabar bam, v'shiktecha babatecha, uvetecha baderek, uvshebaka uvkumecha, uktavtam emezuzah batecha, uvisharecha, Eman yerevu yemekim v'yemi benikim ahad ma'asher nishaba yala avotechem letek lehem kayemi hashamayim al haaretz. Vayomer ya Moshe li'amor daber ben Israel v'amrata lehem v'asu lehem sisi al kenefe begedehem ledoratan Hanuel sisi nef patel techelet Hayalekin Lashisi, Royatam Otar, Zartam, Mekol Mitzvot, Yava Sitim, Otam Velo Tataru Akare, Levivachem Vayakare, Anakim, Ashar Tanzani, Makrahim, Yamantis Karuva Sitim, Et Kol Mitzvoti, Hayatim, Kadoshim Elohim, Adi Yalowechem, Asher Hosatiachem, Aretz Mizraim, Lechayot Lechem Elohim, Ani Yalowechem, Emet. Emet ve'emunah, kol zot v'chayam aleinu, ki hu ya Eloheinu ve'en zolato, ve'nachnu Israel amo, ha'apodenu mayad malaki, v'akenu hago aleinu meklov kol haratzim, ha'el hanapara aleinu misreinu, v'hem shalim gamola kol oyavenu nefeshenu, ha'osei gadolod udein hu chev, v'nefalod udein mesapar, ha'sam nefeshenu b'chayim, ve'lo notan lamot ragaleinu, Derechenu el barmot, Enu vayarem karenu el shol kol shonienu. Elenu nasim anachama baparo. Take mambatim badamat benecham. Abache bevoto kol bokori. Medrayim leyot. Leyot etamo Israel metocham lecherud elam. Amabe banav ben gezri yom suf. Et vorefehem ve'et shonehem bataham motabah. Barahu banav gervuto shefachu vechodol leshamo. Umakuta baratzon kebalu elehim. Shebane Israel achanu sirabasam karaba vimaru kolam. Yichamoka be'elim ya. Yichamoka nedar bar kodesh. Norate hilo lo sefele. Nakuta chara ubenecha. Chayom lifnei Moshe. Ze'elianu vimaru. Ya yemlok le'olam vayed. Mar. Kipadaya et Yaakov. Ugualoma yad hazak mamanu. Taya. El Israel, Amen. Yevarechecha Yahuwah v'yishmarecha. Ya'er Yahuwah panav alecha v'yihunecha. Yisa Yahuwah panav alecha v'yisim lecha shalom b'shem Mashiach Yahushua Baruch Hashem. Hallelujah. 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 Amen. Amen. All right, Mishpacha. Welcome, Brother August. See you up in here, my guy. Hope everything is well with you.
Shalom.